Robin! Robin! Hey, mate, you okay? Let me help you up.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm fine, but I think I've swallowed a desert. Why is there so much sand everywhere?
Beats me. 1 minute we were about to discuss the episode, and the next.
Thanos snapped?
Oh, come on. I'm sure we can be more original than that.
Sorry. Hey, what's that?
What's what?
What's that? In the sand. There's a message in it.
Let me have a look. Okay, consider this a warning. Don't mock my voice again. Signed, Lisa Marie. Bum-ba-dum, 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 bum-ba-dum. Hello and welcome to An Awful Lot of Running, a Doctor Who podcast.
Woo.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. I'm with you, buddy. I am Jack, one part of your hosting team as always, and joining me, as ever, the harbinger to my Sutek, because I can't think of anything else, because, let's face it, there's not an awful lot of thought in this episode. Things could be thought through better, so why are I going to put the effort in? It's published author Robin Foale.
Hi everyone. It's lovely to be on the podcast. We both love doing this, but we have to address right now. Neither of us have been particularly looking forward to discussing this episode, which is such a bummer to say. It's such a bummer.
First of all, I have to apologize, obviously, for the lateness of this podcast, in that we were doing so good. We had a track run, but then we got to reviewing this one on the Sunday after it aired, and we just couldn't put things together. And as I say that, through the void, through the untempered skiven, clawing her way through, making her appearance on the pod, it is the Starbinger herself, our editor. Star has joined us.
Oh my god. I was not expecting this.
Okay, hello. Star from the future here, not Star that's about to appear. My cable for my microphone wasn't connected, so there's kind of a little gap. And I'm not sure how to cut around it, so I'm just putting this bit in to say, hey, there's a gap. I'm fixing an issue. I kind of tell you when I do get there, but it's to make it a little less confusing. Okay? Cool. Anyway, back to past me.
Did you know about this, Jack?
Yes, I knew about this. I planned this.
Oh, that's good. That's good, Jack. There we go. That's something to lift up our spirits.
There you go. As you say, Robin, there is always a twist at the end.
There we are. Very nice.
Although I suppose there's a twist at the beginning right here, isn't it? There we are. Here
hey!
I didn't realize the mic cable had popped out.
Oh.
But yes, no, surprise.
Yes.
I came out of my cage, and I'm doing just fine.
Well, we thought it would only be Star and I instantly thought we'd throw some egg on your face, Robin.
No, I love it.
But it just adds into the whole skit nature and stuff of this series that Star would break her way through into the episode itself, because
I'm legit got egg on my face right now. I did not know this. If anything, this makes this episode a lot more enjoyable to record. Me, Jack, wonderful Star. It's just a shame about the episode we're discussing, but we'll cross that.
We were just saying, Star, how we had initially planned to do this podcast the Sunday after it aired, and we've taken 2 weeks sitting on it because we've had thoughts, and not all of them have been good thoughts.
I also have thoughts. I don't think they're the same thoughts, but I'm grateful I had a break for 2 weeks.
Yes,
That's fair.
yes.
That's fair.
That's very fair. What I will say is that I feel that we may need to have a new sound effect in the arsenal, that being maybe the grumpy old men klaxon. So, get ready to add that in post as well.
I will keep that in mind. I have a klaxon ready for you already.
Yes. Okay. I suppose the best place to start really is just with the end of the previous episode. We all made our thoughts clear on the Legend of Ruby Sunday on the previous podcast.
Mm.
Let me tell you where I was when I went into Empire of Death. So I was, which is what we're talking about today, Empire of Death, written by Rusty Davis. We're already off the rails because I'm struggling to talk about this episode because, yes. So I'll tell you where I was. I was incredibly underwhelmed by the Legend of Ruby Sunday. I know anyone that listened to the podcast will know that. But I went in hopeful to Empire of Death. I rewatched, I watched the Tales of the TARDIS, which came out, the Pyramids of Mars one, which had Sutek in it. And I'm not gonna lie, really think that helped kill my enjoyment for the episode, because I was expecting one thing in terms of Sutek being brought back, and I was given something else, which wasn't exactly what I was expecting. And I think that there's a conversation to be had about the appropriateness of Sutek and whether Sutek best served the plot, because coming out of Legend of Ruby Sunday, we said absolutely not. And the other side of it as well is that I feel a bit cheated by this episode as well, in that certain things have been done deliberately to lie to us as an audience, which make almost what we're doing here, this podcast, and trying to make things that you can experience alongside the episode, almost makes it a sham, if you will. But maybe that's just me being, again, klaxon, grumpy old man come into it. Robin, you're a filthy casual.
That's I am, Jack. That's I am. I did not know who Sutek was. The big reveal at the end of the previous episode was a bit of a shock to me and my family, all watching it together. I heard murmurs of this mysterious individual through the podcast and through you, the Uber fans, as I call you. But I tried to keep an open mind, like especially with the last episode, feeling like it kind of was trudging itself a bit. Like, come on, you could pick up the pace, like. But I went into this episode really excited, and when I then saw it, I have to say I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Jack. And what I want to say as well before we do this episode is that any of the points that I say negatively about, I still find a lot of things that I really enjoyed in this episode. Like, and as a series as a whole has been wonderful. But when your season finale actively damages, in my opinion, a lot of what the episodes we've had beforehand have led up to, the structure of them, foreshadowing, little mentions by characters, and it actively damages them, and it actually makes the first half to this two-parter that much more weaker. That's not a good thing. Like we watched the previous episode to get prepared for this after so I rewatched it again after watching the final episode to do a two-parter for this very review that we're doing. And it makes that first part a real drag and just really loses its suspense, knowing the mystery and knowing what we're getting. But that's going on a bit of ahead. How about you, Star?
Okay. On first watch, because I'm one of the people that went to the cinema, and it was at the time of watching really enjoyable because you've got that cinema experience, you've got everyone around you, everyone's gasping, going, "Ooh, all that stuff." So I had a very different experience my first watch, but then coming home, watching it again, it kind of falls a little flat. It's definitely not a strong finale. Like, it's definitely RTD's weakest. which is a shame because I really liked that Sutek came back. But then they just kind of didn't do much with him.
Mm.
And
It's
there was a
almost
lot of wasted potential in this one.
yes. It's almost as if Russell brings back these characters and then just sort of parks them and doesn't really do an awful lot with them. I mean, Mel, Rose. Oh my god, how
Ah,
I mean, I'm speaking to a trans woman about this right now, but it's definitely, I just couldn't believe that we, number one, had her back in Legend of Ruby Sunday, and she didn't really do an awful lot. And then she doesn't even have a line. She doesn't even have a spoken line in Empire of Death.
She has 2 lines. I counted them on my
What?
rewatch. Yeah.
Oh my
Like
god. I must
at the
have
very
checked out
end.
again by that point. Oh my
And
god.
it's like, wow. And it sucked because I loved Rose, the very first episode that we ever got her in. So having her back, having her be part of the team was like, hell yes, have this representation, have this amazing character. And then nothing. And it just sucks because I get it. There's so many characters to include and do things with. But if you're not going to do anything with a character, why have them there? And it's a real
yeah.
shame.
It did feel, as a trans person myself, it did kind of feel like it was just a, hey, look, we're including a trans character. We're doing this for you guys. It's all great. We're not going to bother with them, but they're there.
Yeah, it's
So
so
it kind of felt,
it's so tokenistic, isn't it?
yeah, it felt a little punch in the facey. And like
Oh,
I liked Rose when the Starbase. I think some of the stories on Starbase could have been a bit different, but that's a whole different podcast. I think I briefly spoke about that during the Pride podcast, which you should all check out. But like, I don't know, there's so much more you can explore, especially with a trans character that's connected to such deep Doctor Who history. Like, how are they exploring it? I would like bring her on as a companion for an episode. Take her to an alien planet. I want to see how alien civilizations are like. Yes,
Yes.
or whatever about her.
mm.
I want to see
Mhm.
how trans issues are explored in the Whoniverse, not just here's a trans character for brownie points.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it feels like in these 2 episodes. Definitely. And there's so much of that sort of stuff in this as well. That's just so
You could swap
I,
out. You could swap out Rose with any of the characters from the End of Power of the Doctor that Kate hires,
right.
or another child.
Yes. And you could swap out Sutek for any other Doctor Who big bad, really. You could be like, oh, they've achieved this godhood. It could be the Masters looked into the Eye of Harmony and suddenly is, Scooby Doo. No, it's this. And
Should have been the Absorbaloff.
should have been. It should have been. And then it would have been my true name, Ian Levine.
I think that might be a step too evil.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Tone it down, Jack.
Yeah, no. But okay. Let me be incredibly positive for a second. I think the design of Sutek, this big dog, I think it looks great. Okay. I don't know why he stays Scooby Doo for the entire episode, though. Why is he like that? It just, and especially by the end of it, we're skipping way ahead, but by the end of the episode, where they're literally dragging him on a dog lead through the time vortex, I'm like, can we not? Can we not, please?
Yeah.
Like I found it, and I've spoken to other people as well who are in the cinema, not in your cinema style, but other experiences that just said they felt incredibly embarrassed by all that, and I was just like, I feel the same. I feel like it's embarrassing. If season 1 is our mission statement or our pitch to Disney to be like, you bankrolled season 1 and 2, and we'd like a season 3. I don't know that this really sells Doctor Who like we want it to. I'd argue that Church on Ruby Road up to Rogue, absolutely. I think that's fantastic. I think you show those episodes, and they're fantastic Doctor Who. It's like an anthology series Doctor Who, but that's all right. That's fine. Okay. These last 2 episodes They are Russell's weakest ending. I'm not gonna lie, there were times where coming up to this episode where I was like, I think I'd rather watch The Timeless Children than watch this.
Hmm.
And I don't, the concept of the timeless child itself, I fully embrace and I love. I've tried to rewatch that episode since, and I just can't do it. And it's not for me. That's fine, But yeah, there's good stuff in every Doctor Who episode. I always have to say, and I always find little nuggets. But this has been tough to sort of go over because it just felt so disappointing to me. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, and I love to be high energy and all about the episode. And I'm sure I'll get high energy when I start ranting about stuff later. Star had a preview of this earlier.
Yes, I got to watch Jack have a breakdown.
Yes, because in prep for this episode, I'd already rewatched Empire Death. I'd watched it twice when we were going to record this originally. To prep today, because I've spent 2 weeks thinking about it, but not actually engaging with it again. I watched the Envision commentary today. And at the start, I was watching it at the start, and I was streaming my reaction in the Time Siren server as well. And I was just watching along, and it got to about 20 minutes in, and Star said, "So how you going? How you doing? Are you broken yet?" And I said, "No, it's all fine." It's like, to be honest, Russell's not saying all that much, and Bonnie Langford's on the, here. I can't help but love Bonnie. She's great. About 10 minutes later, I was having to pause it because I was shouting at Russell so much for different things because. On 3 separate occasions in that
4 by the end. 4.
Oh yeah, but 4 times he basically complains about content in the episode or things that have been taken out of the episode themselves, and it's like, Russell, you fucking wrote it, you fucking did this, Russell. Why? I can't remember initially off the top of my head what a lot of it is. I think one of them was something like, the whistle. Right?
Yeah.
That's a big one, okay? That he initially had this plan because when the whistle pops out of the Remember TARDIS later on, or the Memory TARDIS, it's kind of like, oh, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Bit out of the blue.
And what he then says, because there's a shot in the bit where they're taking Sutek through the vortex, right? There's a shot where Shooty's got the whistle around his neck. And then the next shot, it's gone, right? Oh. The bit that's cut is the Doctor dropping it into the depths of the TARDIS, and then it would then cut back to the Remember TARDIS. So it's like, since he dropped that in the TARDIS, it came out in the Remember TARDIS. And I went, and he's like, it sets the whole thing up. And I was like, but Russell, that's not how it fucking works. No. That's not what you've established the rules to be.
Also, that feels like such an important thing to cut. Why would you do it? And you're adding a little context here, and also actually kind of on tied to the timeless child thing you mentioned earlier. But and dropping it into the depths of the TARDIS. Would that not mean the pocket watch just shows up in the Remember TARDIS?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably there too as well somewhere, isn't it? Look, I can't fault the Remember TARDIS. It is a gorgeous set. It's a lovely set. It's this hodgepodge of different stuff, and I loved it in Tales of the TARDIS. But I said this to Star earlier as well, Robin. Yeah. I saw it in the 60th because they recorded those Tales of the TARDIS after they recorded this. Okay, I saw the Remember TARDIS there. And when it came up in this episode, I just went, oh, fuck off. Because I'd already seen it there. And it wouldn't have been so much better if I'd have come and seen that set brand new like that. In the context of the episode, and then maybe had the stuff. Right, here's another one, Robin, okay?
Okay.
You know the Memory TARDIS, the Remember TARDIS, okay?
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a whole bit where when they take the screen out of it, it goes out of existence, right? And they go, "Oh, okay, thanks very much." Okay, but they cut that, so it just, and I'm just magically, wafting my fingers now, being like, it just goes, and it goes somewhere, which annoys me, and that's something else which she talks about being cut. look, we'll get into it. We'll get into it now, into other stuff. Okay, let's just start. Let's start unpacking the episode. Okay,
Let's go through it bit by bit, Jack. You know,
Yes.
it's okay.
let's
We can
let's
do
look.
this.
Oh, look, we've already been going a while, and I don't want to make it too long for Star when she has to edit it. So let's be fair. Let's just get into stuff proper now. Okay.
You've got an hour and a half max. Otherwise,
Yes.
I quit.
Oh shit. Okay. So first of all,
just you wait till I throw a Battles and Fandom episode her way.
no,
You
it's,
see, I'm prepared for that one.
Okay, cool.
So-
So right, can I start things off, Robin? Cut you off
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
away there, okay? Because
Okay,
just because I feel the rage night, the most pointless previously on Doctor Who.
yes. Oh, that's what I was
Ever.
going to go into.
Please go ahead. I've spoken
Yeah.
a while. Go for it.
No. Literally, that's my number one point. Was like, and I've written down here. The recap only recounts the end of the episode, which watchers would have most remembered. It's like, forget about everything else that happened. What with doing the time room, I forget what it was called.
Yeah, the time window, all the stuff about Ruby's mother.
Forget all that. No, only Sutek matters, which
Mhm.
you'll remembered because that was literally the last thing, and then just cuts to the episode, and it's like,
Exactly.
whoa.
And it would be impossible to forget that anyway because of Doctor Who Twitter. There were fucking Sutek memes and spoilers and shit the second it aired. You know, I saw so many. I saw fucking like Sutek being done as Snoopy on top of a fucking little TARDIS like doghouse. Beautiful. You know?
But guys, they changed the ending. The previously recap is different from the ending.
Mm.
The line is just ever so slightly different.
I feel
And
like
for like no reason.
what's her name in Misery? Annie. I can't remember. It's Kathy Bates' character where she's like, "That didn't happen. The cock-a-doodle," and it's
Oh yeah.
no. So yeah, obviously that's a big issue. Okay, then we get the intro for the last time this season. We go into it. Mel kind of it looks like she saves the Doctor, but then again, Sutek wasn't going to kill the Doctor anyway because
Now,
shit.
credit where credit's due. Like the beginning of this is action packed. It does keep you on your toes.
Mhm.
It does feel like this should have been the finale, not necessarily the beginning, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because they do just straight up I joked about it during our skip, but they get final snapped. Like we see people who we know and love just getting killed, but it's okay because Kate equips the kid with a machine gun on his bike.
Yes. Oh my God, Lenny Rush with. But that ties back to the Star Beast, doesn't it? With Shirley Ann Bingham being like, we've all got weapons in our.
I love it. I
which is
love
great.
that they're packing,
Which is funny considering they changed the Sonic because it looked a bit too much like a gun.
There's no confirming quote for that, Star. Stop it. No. But yeah, no, I think it's great, and I think that it's a fantastic action set piece that probably should have been the climax. I agree. And definitely the Thanos snapping shouldn't have been a thing. This is what annoys me about this episode as well. It kind of reads as a hodgepodge of like all Russell's favorite films of the past few years, of being like, Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame did this well. Last Jedi was pretty good. And, doing that sort of thing, but not actually earning it, not actually having it feel part of the story, having it just be like, oh, I'm so clever because I'm Russell, or I'm Russell T Davis, I'm so clever.
Yeah, no, he literally says that in the fucking Envision commentary. And like, there's things you could have done differently because like there is ways to do the dusting effect differently. Like Supernatural did it differently. You could have done with this. He's the god of death. I know they say in the commentary that they didn't want to do the skulls and the bones and stuff, but they should have.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they
Imagine
should have,
how harrowing the image of just this pile of sand with a skull sand in it. Just copy Heaven Sent because they did that really well with Capaldi's skull. That was gorgeous. It was intense.
Here's the thing, though, as well with it. They kill off these characters. Like we see Carla be killed, we see Mrs. Flood and Cherry, we see the entire unit fam after having their beautiful moment of Harriet Arbinger going, "I bring Sutek's gift," and then instantly all of them fucking and then she just gets back up again, and then we see Rose and
the Blinks.
Yeah,
like, come on.
the Flinks.
The Flinks got destroyed. And I was like, oh.
The Flinks, but the Flinks' head gets blown off, right?
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, and okay, to be fair, I'll suspend my disbelief enough because what happens to everyone else? The minute we actually saw the Flinks, I could understand. I was like, oh, maybe they'll just rebuild the Flinks or what have you. Because we even know what the Flinks is really. It's just a robot sort of thing, isn't it? You know, as much as we love him, but the minute we saw the unit fam get dusted, I was like, well, this is getting undone, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so it didn't add the stakes to it as much as I really wanted it to. And I think the whole thing of it being the whole universe being destroyed or what have you because of all these splinters of Susan Twist going across everywhere the Doctor has ever landed since Pyramids of Mars, which is what it is. But I'm always someone that feels like smaller stakes is something which is going to get me more sort of invested in something. This is just the death of the universe and then some bullshittery to undo it. So all that happens, and Doctor and Mel obviously get back to Unit Tower, find Ruby, send the one unit girl that was in there with Ruby to her fucking death, by the way.
Yeah, we watching that. I didn't really even realize that my first watch, and then second watch, I'm like, oh yeah, they're just gonna die, sure.
Yeah. And then of course, Sutek comes down into the time window. There's the memory TARDIS there and all that, and that there is some cool stuff. I do like the image of Sutek sort of enveloping the TARDIS and being around. And then I think there's some cool stuff where he moves the TARDIS around.
Oh, I love that.
At the front, so that they can't get in at all. I thought that was pretty cool. And then
I really like.
Yeah, I just. And still, Ruby still can't see her mum's fucking face on that thing, despite. Oh, we'll come to Ruby's mum. We'll come to Ruby's mum.
We'll get there.
This
is why I feel like
we'll get there. Okay.
Series the memory episode 1.
Yes. Okay. The memory TARDIS. Okay. So they get in the memory TARDIS and they fly away to get away, and they see, there's all the cool stuff in there. Mel has a little moment looking at the Sixth Doctor's jacket and tie, which
I love.
I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yeah, okay, that's a little nod. I like that. That's nice, And even later on with the spoon as well, that being a big thing that Sylvester McCoy does, that he plays the spoons and stuff, and I think Seventh Doctor does it as well a bit. And then we also see Mel with Sylvester's jumper or vest there. Or the Seventh Doctor's one. So it's like, yeah, the little nods I like. It's a beautiful set. You can look around and be like, oh, there's that. There's a there's a Clockwork Droid head. There's there's Jodie's roundel.
There's a Toclafane, because we've got to remember your disembodied future heads.
Yes.
Yeah, that is an odd one to say the least. It's still, honestly, it's up there as one of my favorite TARDISes because there's something about cluttered areas, but there's kind of a good kind of messiness to it. Like everything's kind of organized in that kind of messy way where like your bedroom where you've got everything placed exactly where you want it, even though it's a complete mess. And I loved all those little memorabilias. I love the fact that the door made the sound. It's like when it does it, it's like, yeah, we love that classic sound. And the fireplace being like the columns from like Jodie's TARDIS was
Yes, yeah.
I
That's
love that.
that's. I also love that when Mel's looking through one of the drawers, she picks out like different sort of screwdrivers. She picks out Jodie's sort of screwdriver as well. I was like, oh, that's a nice little nod. I like that.
Yeah.
That's more. Please give me more. You know, as a Whittaker era fan, I want more. I want more little nods, please. I beg you. You know,
Oh,
so that was
definitely. And
yeah.
Mel as well. Like we haven't really discussed, but Mel is so wonderful in this whole episode. Like her range,
Mhm.
like the fact that she really steps up again as being um this amazing companion. Like she stepped up to the Doctor when he kind of like got angry and upset outside of the lifts in the previous episode, and now she's doing that again.
But is
But then
she
we
really
also
though, Robin? Is she really? Like she's just along for the ride, really, for a lot of it. You know,
I
it's
don't know. I feel like she does step up. You know, she does ride the bike. She gets them out of there
yeah,
at
she does
least.
that
And
stuff. But as soon as they get into the TARDIS, she's basically parked. It's all about the Doctor and Ruby at that point.
yeah, but at least she does a really good dark performance
Oh yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Like I just again her range in this, I just wanted to comment on and say it
yeah.
was
No,
good.
absolutely, yeah, it's true. And obviously, we then see that it's the universe is being destroyed, blah blah blah, all that shit. And Doctor's like, it's all my fault. It's like you what? No, it's not your fucking fault. But you had no fucking clue. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And it's
And
all
also the fact that he's like really upset about this, I'm just like, you just dealt with the flux.
yes,
Come
Yeah.
on, get it together.
exactly. And that was being used as like a form of trauma in the 60th, wasn't it? You know, and yes,
Yeah.
we can argue that 14 did the therapy, 14 did the character development, so 15 didn't have to. There you go. I'm fucking saying it now. I'm saying it now. Because I'm fucking over your shit, Russell. All right? I'm over it. 14's doing that character development, so 15 doesn't have to. So no, it's coming back around 15. We're just not really covering that. We're seeing a much more emotional Doctor, which I think is great. There's much more human Doctor. That's great. I'm starting to err on the side of that he's letting his emotions show a bit too much. I think it is because I feel like, and I'm gonna quote a friend of the show here, Philip Hawkins, at Culture Filter on YouTube, you can find him there. Put a great video out about it today, about sort of talking about the both camps of that being, because I was very much on the side of it's okay to cry and we should show this as much as
100%,
possible.
yeah.
As and obviously he was talking to that side, but then he was also talking to the side about being like, the Doctor shouldn't cry. This is ridiculous. It's crying too much. And I've actually started to agree with that, because I feel like my cynicism now for this is cut in, where I've gone, no, Russell's doing this, that he's making the Doctor cry to show us that we should be feeling bad about a situation. It's not just that it's Shooty's performance that, and I can't help but feel that maybe that's what it is. It's like when we have a swelling Murray Gold, soundtrack or something, like, this is an emotion, you must feel this, you must feel that emotion here, blah blah blah. Or Rosa, when it's Rise Up being played, and it's like, yes, we get it.
Okay. The Rise Up one was just not a good choice for the end of that episode. I will admit that was too much. I still think that
Robin,
this
what are your thoughts on Stormzy?
Moving on.
You guys are making me want to do a 13th Doctor episode, especially with the fact that I'm rewatching it all.
Do you know what? There's some beautiful gems in there. There are some fantastic, massive peaks in that era. Same as there are every other era. And there are also some fucking cavernous dips. Again, same as every year, actually.
I think Shooty being an emotional Doctor is a wonderful thing. I haven't necessarily thought of it being so much about Russell's writing of his character, but I think season 2 is definitely going to tell us if that is the point of his writing, or if it's going to be a point of Shooty as an actor injecting that into his performance. Also, we missed like a really beautiful shot where it's just panning away from the TARDIS, him just screaming into nothingness, and
Yeah,
that in itself is a gorgeous screensaver. Like, just
that
put that
that
on my
was that was chilling watching it in the cinema. Just the
Mm.
Doctor so hopeless.
I wanted to
Again,
ask you that.
yeah, no, it was like really chilling. There was kind of like a lot of like audience reaction noise throughout the whole episode, and then when that scene comes on, whole place is just quiet. It's
That
literal
that's good.
chills. But also going on back onto the Doctor being emotional, I think it's fine. I'd like it a lot. I don't think it's justified in every scenario. Like this specific scenario, again, obviously he's dealt with the flux. I would rather he wasn't like, oh, I've done this. This is all my fault. If you're going to do that, have it be more like have it more like it's happened again. I've done this.
Mm-hmm.
Reference the fact that something similar to this has happened before.
Yes.
Because trauma doesn't just go away. Like you
No.
can heal from it and like move forward from it, but it's always there. You can't like kill depression. You can't kill trauma. It is something you live with.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like a lot of it's just erased for the sake of, oh, we'll catch up viewers, and then immediately they slap in all this like old fan service, which I don't mind because I'm an old fan. I like that stuff. But when you're doing a series which kind of appeals to like a newer audience and you're still referencing all these things, it doesn't quite click. I've kind of gone on a bit of a tangent there.
That's okay.
No, no,
It's
not
been
at
a
all,
while.
Not at all. Not at all. You were saying it perfectly there, to be honest. Let's move on to the next scene though, which I think is beautiful, where we're looking at the planet, which is decimated, and there's just one woman there. And I gotta say, I think it's my favorite scene of the episode because we have Sean Clifford, who people might know from Fleabag, for example, who plays the sister in Fleabag, and which is a great show which people should check out. Just if for nothing else, for Andrew Scott in it, because season 2 is amazing. But it's an
That's the dude from Sherlock, right?
Yes, it is Moriarty from Sherlock.
Got to
yes.
plug the Hulock to annoy certain people.
Yeah. But it's an absolutely beautiful scene with her there on the planet, willing to help the Doctor. She's talking about, giving him some soup or some food there, and saying, and it absolutely cut me to my core when she looks down at the little Moses basket there on the floor and says, quiet, dear, let me just help this man. It's like there's been no noise made whatsoever. And I instantly went, oh no.
Yeah.
And, I think maybe it hit me harder as a parent anyway, the whole idea of it. And, she says about she can't, I think I named her, and then, it's like, my daughter's dead, isn't she? And it was all that, and all the talk about how, the wave of death or whatever it is destroying memory as well, and different stuff, which ties back in later when they're in the TARDIS, when the Doctor puts the spoon in the screen and it pops up with the footage from Periods of Mids of Mars again, and and Ruby's like, who is that? And he's like, oh, just two people that used to travel in the TARDIS. I'm like, no, that's you and Sarah Jane. But in my head, I'm like, oh, wait, no. Memory is dying. He's forgetting that. That's what's happening there. So, but maybe that's me giving Russell too much fucking credit, But it's absolutely beautiful, that stuff on the planet. It really is. And I really love Shooty's like Dune-esque, it's right. I was expecting to be like, may thy knife chip and shatter, and then just Murray Gold just starts sampling the Dune soundtrack for no fucking reason,
The sand must flow. I get what they're going for in this scene, but I almost feel as if we should have had everything that we had at the beginning of the episode at the end of part 1, and I feel like this should have been the start of episode 2.
Yeah, okay.
I think doing like a cut to like kind of like black, and then just being on this planet and being like, okay, where are we now? What's happening? And that being kind of your opener could be like really, we're just okay, tone established, like shit is fucked. We've got to resolve this. Because to me personally,
you could even say you finish the episode right where it was, the first 5 minutes of the episode, because I think you could have taken all that, all that MacGuffin up till now and condensed it into 5 minutes. Really, you just have the Doctor, Ruby, and Mel get away. They don't need to have that confrontation with Sutek there. They don't need to have that, and it'd be the Doctor going and then it's title sequence, and then we cut to black.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing because to me, I think it's a really nice, beautiful scene. But I also feel as if it kind of really slows down the episode. And I almost feel like I get the reasoning why. It explains to us, the audience, what's going on. It helps them go to the next stage of the journey.
But I suppose the other side of that is there, and I'm talking over you, Robin, so please chip in.
No, please.
But the other side is that we already know the universe is ending. We already know all life is being killed.
That's the sad thing. And I feel after what you've just said, which was really, really lovely, and I'm so glad that we had you as a parent give your side of things. To me, I got to this moment on my second watch and was like, oh, this is the loo break. And I went off. And I felt so bad about that because it's a really beautiful scene, but it's just like I could just skip that entire thing. And I feel like I didn't miss anything. And it's a real shame. Oh.
Do you know what I think they could have done? And I don't like using Hellbent as an example because I have iffy feelings on. I have iffy feelings on it, but I think the way it's narratively done with 12 and Clara and the story happening in the diner, and then 12's kind of telling it, you should have told it like that. Start the episode with the woman. The Doctor kind of goes over the story, so you forget all this little bits that you had in between. I definitely think it's shortened down. I agree. I think a lot of it could be condensed, but you just have the Doctor telling the story, and then it just, when she realizes and she turns dust, then you just flow with the rest of the story. And I think that would have worked a lot better narratively. RTD, get out of my chair.
Oh God, there's so much of this. I'm just like, what I think really hurts me is the fact that Russell, everything I see about Russell makes me think that he thinks that he's incredibly intelligent. He's so clever for coming up with a story. He is the one to do a Sutek story after 50 years, despite the fact that he's Big Finish, but that doesn't count anymore, apparently, despite the fact he was very inclusive of Big Finish before. And he's finally the one to touch Susan and to do stuff about the Doctor, the Doctor's granddaughter, despite the fact there being a lot of EU stuff for many, many years, and her having alone two of her own box sets over at Big Finish currently being put out, Susan's War. But no, he's the first to ever touch Susan again after Dark Invasion of Earth. And we already spoke in the last episode about how it being used as a red herring is just a load of fucking bullshit. It is. It does make you think we are going to see Susan at some point, but then maybe not with the fucking philosophy that he's taking with this, with the precedent he's setting in this fucking episode. I honestly don't know, to be honest. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. So in the TARDIS then, Mel's fucking dying, isn't she? She's just yeah, all right, thing. And then we get all
Mel
the
stuff is representing the audience by this point.
Yes. Mel is representing the audience. My God, yes. Okay.
And I'm saying that as someone who enjoyed this.
Okay. Ruby's got the fucking iPad. Ruby's got the iPad. The spoon's in it. For some fucking reason, they need real metal in the thing to make it work. Okay, cool. We then get a flashback to 73 yards. I say flashback because it's a cut scene. It was supposed to be in the episode, apparently. Like the whole thing of like being, obligatory signing up for, your DNA being used in a database, all that stuff. Okay. But it was cut in 73 yards. Okay. I don't know. I don't think it necessarily hurts it being used here, but it might have been nice to have had that set up in 73 yards to then be like, oh, comes back around here. Then that could have been the clue to help find Ruby's parentage, And then, of course, the TARDIS gets to, was it 2040 something?
Yeah, something like that.
It's something like that, isn't it? It's a 73 yards, but it's not 73 yards because Roger William, but then he was ousted on his first day as Prime. Again, we don't know. Let's not talk about a better episode than this one here, shall we? Okay, because also I feel that this episode hurt 73 yards. I don't want it to hurt it because I adore that episode. I love 73 yards. Okay, so they go to the database, and the doctor's like, Mel, do you want to go outside? And it's really nice, actually, because Bonnie gives this really beautiful performance there where she speaks about in the individual commentary, like as an actor, her performance is she's kind of sort of trying to tell the doctor, I'm done, I'm about to die, or I'm about to be, so that's why, she sort of goes along with it, goes out, and then she has the whole moment where Sutek's taking her over, and the Doctor and Ruby do all the stuff to get all the MacGuffin and the DNA and what have you, because apparently the whole reason the Doctor and Ruby are left alive, and we didn't have it earlier, is because Sutek just doesn't know who Ruby's mother is and wants to find out. Because it's so important to them. Sutek wants to find out because Sutek can't figure out who it is.
But Jack, it's okay. Because, they're going to explain at the end of the episode why the mother is so important and why she has so much significance.
Yeah, Jack, she's the god of life. Don't you know this?
So here's the thing, right? Okay. The snow comes down. The tube the bell starts playing. Again, amping up what has been set. This precedent that's been set through the series that Ruby has some sort of power or comes from power, and there is something here. We're being set up with that. Okay, this is what's being asked of us. Only to it later to come crashing down and be like, okay, I understand what you're going for, but then what the fuck was all this? If you know what I mean. But again, we'll get there in a second.
Okay? We'll get there. We can do it.
I'm whizzing through stuff because we've got more important stuff to get onto here. Okay, so Mel comes back in. She's all spooky, oogie boogie. She's taken over by Sutek, brought back to present day by some magic fucking time beam, which Russell even says in the episode is like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be the Remember TARDIS, but just wasn't now. And I said to people, oh, it's the TARDIS just shoots a beam and they come back to that place and that time just because it's a thing we'll never see again. It's just what it is. But he says about how he doesn't like that being in the episode and it hurts him. I'm like, well, Russell, you fucking wrote this.
You're also in charge of it. If it's something they changed in production, you can change it. You have that say, Russell. Come on.
Throw a fucking line away, show a seal a fucking Rassilon or something. Like we already have that beam giving Mel a cloak, like the beam gave the Master a fucking cloak in the Five Doctors. By all means, just be like, oh, it's an Archer energy thing and it draws them back in or what have you. It's a seal of Rassilon. It's Sutek's power just brings them back there. Right? Okay, because they have the information. What have you? Okay. Okay. We get the whole bait and switch of the Doctor crippled on the floor, the green energy, like happened in Pyramids of Mars. But we still got fucking we still got fucking Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo deck? Scooby-Doo deck? Scooby-Doo deck, yeah. Let's go with that. Scooby-Doo deck. What? Scoob Tech.
Scoob Tech.
Scoob Tech. Ooh, I like that.
Scoob Tech, which I'm like, at this point, wouldn't it have been so cool if we'd have just seen him go into like a new, like an interpretation of his classic look at that moment? Because I'm sorry, I can't take the fucking dog seriously. Because it does just look like Reggie.
Yeah, no, I mentioned this earlier to you, and I've seen a lot of people compare it. It's the same kind of CGI they give Scrappy in the first live-action Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I've seen those memes as well. Someone put out one that's like Sutek in Flatline, when the TARDIS gets shrunk, and it's the little tiny Scrappy-Doo. And then Mr. TARDIS quote tweeted that with, Sutek in Name of the Doctor. You know, it's the giant fucking warped out TARDIS, and it was the Scrappy on roids. You know.
Oh god, yeah.
It just doesn't look good. And then of course then we have, you know, Ruby drops the iPad, which it just shatters entirely, and because I keep coming back to it, but why does Sutek fucking care? Why does he fucking care? Why does he care about Ruby's? Why? Just because you know?
It's because we made her so important.
Yeah.
Like, is he just a fucking messy bitch? Does he spill the tea? Is that just it? It's because he's that interested in the fucking tea. He's like, oh, this little girl, you know, that's traveling the TARDIS. He's not interested by the fucking Impossible Girl. He's not interested by any of the other fucking mysteries that have been left. He's not interested with the mystery or anything else that the Doctor has fucking left and it's not been picked up with. He doesn't even care about the time of his child. Doesn't even care. How many, you know, probably even fucking bother with a fucking watch in the fucking TARDIS there, but he's I don't know who this woman is, despite the fact I could quite literally look under the fucking hood.
Also, there were records in the future, so why didn't Sutek just get the Susan Twists to Google it?
Yeah. Oh my god.
also, fast forwarding a bit, but Ruby's mum being a fucking nurse. Google is an actual option here to find out.
I know.
I know. You know what's great? You're bringing up all these points, and the Doctor earlier in the episode said, "The greatest monster I have ever fought," and it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure both Davros both the Master could look up Google and just find out this information.
Bro was in the Time War fighting shit like the fucking Nightmare Child and its army of vicious Knids or whatever the fuck it is. You know? Like, sorry, the Doctor fights more fucking powerful shit day to day than one fucking, you know, kind of good one-off villain from 50 years ago. I'm sorry. And again, I said it last time. Toymaker, Trickster, Maestro, all those fuckers. I'm not being funny, guys. I think he could have taken Sutek. I think he could have taken him. You know, all it takes here is putting a fucking dog lead on him and walking him through the fucking time vortex.
Oh my god! Now I'm just imagining like the toy maker playing a game of catch with Sutek the dog.
Family gatherings are certainly fun, but also one other thing, they're hyping up all these gods, but all of them are just really easy defeated. Aside from Lamara, who shouldn't even be the god of beasts, should be the god of dreams, but that's a whole different thing. But like, they're all so easy defeated. Toymaker, Catch, Maestro. Oh, we found the right key. The Trickster gets beaten up by a middle-aged woman and a bunch of kids every second week.
Yeah.
And Sutek defeated by walkies.
If anything, it should make him more powerful, you know. And also, right, you said this to me earlier, Star. Please say it straight away, okay? About Sutek being latched on the TARDIS in the time vortex all this time. Like you said this earlier about being that. Okay, so how we destroyed Sutek? We left him in the time vortex. But how did Sutek get latched onto the TARDIS before? Oh, he was put into the time vortex.
Yeah, the way I was looking at it was a case of with the previous one, how he was put in the time vortex was he was put in the time vortex and kind of left to kind of float. He was just left there, and then he latched on. With this one, he's forcibly dragged from the points the Doctor wanted the original plan to go to. So I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's good because it's not clear on that. But I do think it's they're dragging him to make sure it sticks this time rather than just trapping him in this puddle time where he could latch onto the TARDIS again.
Yeah, fair enough. I did think that, you know, when the Doctor's going through all these places being brought back to life and being unsnapped, and we see Carla being brought back, we saw Mrs. Flood, we see car. You see Cherry, God bless her. She finally gets a cup of tea in the end of this episode again. And we see the unit fam come back, and Colonel Ibrahim and Keita.
No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not.
They're looking pretty cozy, aren't they?
They're just really good friends because they both survived something horrible. They've just had trauma. There's nothing going on. RGD, I will kill you in your sleep if you try and make Kate straight. This isn't even a warning. This is a fucking promise. I will find you.
Well, but Doctor Who has never made, potentially queer characters straight for inexplicable reasons before, has it? There's no precedent for that, is there? Anyway, so instantly all that shit is undone, and he's talking about life's being brought back to the Ood sphere. Oh, the Ood are back, and the Skaro, the Daleks, and I get, oh fucking hell, that's made me think of something right now. Right, is Big Finish canon at this point? Because otherwise, how the fuck does Mel know about the Daleks?
Yeah, Big Finish. I think Big Finish is canon to RTU when it's convenient for him.
Yes, it's fucking. Okay,
also,
so
I love the fact as well when Mrs. Flood and Cherry come back to life. Like Mrs. Flood is all happy and everything with Cherry, but I just wanted Cherry just be like, "What the blinking flip are you still doing here, you crazy woman?" Just like
I'm not being funny. You were saying some crazy shit before we got turned into fucking dust.
It's like she was being like super sketchy. You go through a death like experience, come back, she's all happy and smiling. You're just like, no, seriously, get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah. So there's that, and obviously then I did think. Did anyone else think when they were dragging Sutek through that the Doctor was going to say, and Gallifrey? And that I thought this was going to be their way of bringing back Gallifrey. Because, look, I've said it before, issues of the Timeless Children and Season 12, love parts of it as well. My biggest issue is the fucking genocide of Gallifrey. So I was just like, is this how we do it? This would be really cool in a way, but then at the same time, I'm being hypocritical because I'm not a big on this returning element and these things at the minute, and I'm not. But I just feel like we've barely really seen other Time Lords in New Who. Yes, we've seen Hal Bent a bit. We've seen him a little bit in Day of the Doctor. We've seen the Master has really been the only other one that we've seen. It would be cool to see, maybe a new Time Lord villain, or maybe something different, or just elements of Gallifrey being used again, But we can't do that because they're all slaughtered, all 6.7 fucking billion children, all killed and turned into Cybermen. Maybe not. No, just killed. Again, that's my feelings of season 12. So I was like, oh, this could be a cool way of doing it. And maybe that will be something they come back to later. And then, okay, here's the big thing. The Doctor goes over to Sutek, dragging him through, like, okay, if you're the god of death, I'm the god of life, and he's all like, you're making me do this, and I'm the man who never would, and all that jazz. I never would, because I'm the fucking Doctor.
Here he goes. He's about to pop off about Hot Fuzz again.
Okay, yes. I'm sorry. At Christmas, the Doctor fucking murked the Goblin King like it was fucking Hot Fuzz. Literally, true fucking murked. The Doctor kills people when he needs to, or when they need to. When there's no other option, they will do it. So why the fuck? Why the fuck does he care about fucking Scooby-Doo? Is it just that he's a good doggo? Because he's not a good doggo. It's been proved that he's not a good doggo. He is not getting the pets a good doggo deserves. Good doggos get good pets. Sutek, not a good doggo. Not a good doggo. A very bad doggo.
I'm just going to say, Eric would have sorted this out, no problem.
And then obviously closes the TARDIS door and Sutek dissolves and RTD says in the Vision commentary, oh no, we need to make sure that he's dead. He is dead. He is DEAD, dead. He's never coming back from this one. Wink to camera. He doesn't wink to camera, but it's still like
it feels like he is.
Yeah.
But also on that kind of same section makes the really random decision to point out, oh yeah, you know the sparks in the title sequence. That's because of this. That's because they dragged Sutek at the
But
end.
it's that's so fucking stupid, Russell. That's so stupid. Why? That makes no sense. Why would you do that?
Why would you have it in 14's title sequence?
Yeah, but also here's the thing as well. Okay, Star, I'm going to ask you now. I'm going to ask you about this. Right, Sutek's been on the TARDIS since fucking Pyramid of Mars. Okay, he's been, Day of the Doctor. There are multiple versions of him just looking at each other weirdly. There's so much. There's fucking There's House in the Doctor's Wife in the TARDIS looking and seeing Sutek there as well. There's all those fucking memes. Honestly, the best thing about this episode's come out is the memes. Why the fuck has Sutek come out now?
Plot in it.
Sorry,
I had to give the RTDD answer.
Why has the TARDIS just started making these noises?
It's all because Ruby's mother is so important.
I love that this
That's
podcast is an audio
stupid.
experience. Also, I hate it at the same time because all our lovely listeners out there are missing the absolute peak that is Jack's facial expressions during this. I may have to include a montage.
You know what it is? It's like gif of the nostalgia critic losing his shit in front of like the TV, and it's just doing all the different arm movements.
That's basically Jack's actually good.
Yeah, that as well.
It's just so all that shit goes down, and then we go back to Unit Tower, and the analysis is done, and we can find out who Ruby's mother is, and Ruby's birth mother. Sorry, I should say, because obviously we have Carla, who is a mother, and we're looking for her birth mother now. The analysis is done, and we're expecting after the snow. After the tubular bells, after all that amping and hyping, how Ruby seemed to be affecting the plot of the series or affecting how things go by being like, oh, there's babies here. After I was a baby, there's a musical villain dealing with the Beatles after I went to see the Beatles. There's shit happening in 73 hours is because of me. The whole episode, Rogue basically being a take on Bridgerton after she says, oh, this is so Bridgerton. All these elements implying that Ruby may be some sort of god of stories, or, parentage may be that, all built up, all hyped, the memory changing of, the memory fucking changing of Ruby's mother turning around and pointing at the fucking Doctor. Yeah. Right? No, Ruby's mother is called Louise Miller and is a nurse and is as ordinary as things get. She was a teenager, 15 when she had Ruby. And the reason she was turning and pointing, Robin, was because she was pointing at the fucking sign that said Ruby Road, which isn't in the episode Church on Ruby Road.
Deep breaths, Jack. Deep breaths.
But Jack, didn't you name your children after signs that you just pointed to?
But here's the thing. They talk about Ruby's like, oh, I was just assumed it was the judge or the fucking social worker that named me Ruby, but it was my mum. How? No, sorry. We've only just pieced together that she was pointing at the fucking sign, so it can't have been her that did it. No, you were called Ruby because you were left on Ruby Road anyway. It wasn't because she was fucking naming you at all. And also, how has a 15-year-old girl got that fucking weird medieval cloak going around their chest?
Okay, listen. Cosplayers can buy anything those days.
In 2004, Star? In 2004?
You will be surprised. I've seen some good cosplays from 2004.
You see the Kingdom Hearts cosplayers in the Organization 13 garbs, full of black. Like,
I'm just glad they weren't near a Tesco. Tesco car park here, Route Sunday doesn't sound like a good name.
And it just adds to like how, like, you know how fucking perfect the recreation of that night in the time window was. So fucking perfect that we can just we can shit out a TARDIS. We can just here's another TARDIS for the plot.
But they couldn't replicate a sign.
They couldn't replicate a sign or her fucking face.
Yeah. And
God,
Sorry,
go,
you
Oh,
go.
hold
go,
on,
'cause-
hold on.
'cause-
Before Robin does speak, the RTD bit where he mentions that going on to the cloak thing. Oh, that's just time shrouding her.
Oh, bollocks. Did he say that?
Yeah, that's in the commentary. He does say, "Oh yes, I
Ah,
like to think that that's time shrouding her."
okay.
But
I've
why would time be shrouding her? Why would that be a thing if she
Because
wasn't
there's a big
cosmically
doggo that
important?
wants to know.
so before I sort of try to say what I'm going to say, sort of maybe say what maybe they were going for. Star, what was your reaction to this and the audience's reaction in cinema? I'm generally really curious.
In cinema, I think again it's the cinema experience because like you're around so many people, so I think I do a different impact, but majoritively was actually kind of positive.
Okay,
At least
okay.
from my cinema, it was a lot of, oh right. I think a lot of it is it's midnight and you're at the cinema. You don't really care about the problems. You're just here for a good time.
Mm,
Which I mean, it did make for a good time. Everyone had a good time, and I was really happy that I had a good time. I really enjoyed it at first. But
mm.
again, it's the rewatches that have been killing it, I think, for at least myself and I know a few other people.
Right. Here's my thing now. Okay, I'm going to go into it. Ruby being Ruby and her mum being a normal woman. Yes, that's a beautiful story element. That's so profound that Ruby is important because she is Ruby and because her birth mother is who she is. Okay. It's, Russell even cites it being like The Last Jedi, which it's a film I need to rewatch because I think I'm going to appreciate it more now. But at the time, did not enjoy The Last Jedi. Did, however, like the idea that Rey, and even since when Rey is nobody, But I'll tell you why. Because we were not led to believe Rey was anyone else. There were no setups and no fucking cosmic bullshit which implied that she would be something that we knew. This whole thing, the snow, the song, every fucking thing pointed to Ruby being something cosmically powerful and coming from that. And then to just go, oh no, it's been done just to generate, chalk and chatter, and oh no, I'm actually really clever and you're really silly as an audience to thinking that her mum and her parentage was anything special. You're so stupid. Why are we even here?
Mm.
Why are we even here, Russell?
I 100% agree with you, Jack, because I think the sentiment of the message is beautiful. I love seeing Ruby happy. I love seeing her have this happy ending, have not only her birth mum, but also her incredible adoptive mum and all these other things in her life, which I think is beautiful. It's definitely something that fits her as a character, which is why when I first watched this, I was very confused, but I liked it because she was happy. And because of how much I love the character of Ruby, that's what made me happy. Then I started to process it and I rewatched the episode and I realized that none of it makes any fucking sense. And when you take your audience, take us, the fans, and I've said throughout this whole process of us reviewing each episode, I've said how much I've adored this season because each episode has tied into Ruby in some form of way, whether it be her music, whether it be something to do with her almost supernatural type background. And that's been really fascinating. This has been building up through steps of us being like, okay, she clearly has something special. Is it going to be pulling the carpet from under us and revealing that she's suddenly Time Lord related or something? There could have been all sorts of things. It could have been say like what with
I was gonna say, if you say the fucking Rani, I'm gonna hit the roof.
I mean, you're already mad as it is, Jack. I do not want to get beaten from you.
I'm calming down because
Mm.
I'm calming down because I've hit my peak of annoyance with this story. Like I'm
But that's
like
the
from
thing.
here on out, it'll be good.
But so we've been like shown these things. The episodes have been structured to reflect the character in this way. It's been clearly supernatural things. These aren't holographic snowflakes. These are real snowflakes coming through. Okay. And then by the very end, after all this mystery, how you have a whole episode, the previous episode dedicated to who is the mother, why are they so important, why can we not see them? And it just turns out that they're just an ordinary person. That's when it does the opposite of Last Jedi and instead comes across as really insulting to the audience. And it also really damages the whole series as a whole. It makes part one of this two-parter almost pointless, and it makes it so flawed. And then you go back to episodes that I still love and adore, like 73 Yards, and it just makes it, oh no, it's just circumstance. It just happens like this. And it's like, and to that, I was really just, at this point, I just kind of lost the ability to be mad. I was just disappointed in RDT, which, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I do have to bring up the other thing about Ruby's mom that's probably going to boil Jack's blood, but Lucy Miller comparisons. Just because they look a little alike.
And the last name.
Yeah.
And the last name. Like I can, but that's just that speaks more to I'm angry at Russell right now, Star. I'm not angry at the fandom. Like you can have your fan brain in your fandom. You can say your stupid things. You can make a weird fucking TikTok where it's like, what if Lucy Saxon was actually Ruby's mum? Like, which in itself hurts me deeply to say. You can have that. Go for it. That's your space. I don't need to encroach on your space there. When the Doctor Who I'm being shown by the official TV show is like this, that's when I'm going to get angry and get pissed off with what's being done. But okay, look, let's come to the scene with the Doctor and Ruby outside the coffee shop, and Ruby meeting her birth mother the first time. So I think it's important we say there again. I know we've been trying to use the right terminology here, that Carla is her mum. She is her Dr. Mum. She's her mum, yeah. Her birth mother is Louise, so not her. Certainly not the term real mum is not appropriate here at all, obviously, which I know we haven't used, but I'm just saying it so we go forward here, okay? The Doctor, is talking about how, Louise is there and she's a nurse now. She's going on holiday. She's with a fella and all this nice stuff. And he's sort of like, he's almost sort of just trying to discourage Ruby from going in and speaking to her, which I've seen some people talk about it in a very negative sense, but then I've seen actual people who are adopted, who are fans of Doctor Who, talk about it, and frankly they're the people we need to look to with this whole sort of thing. We need to look at their interpretation, the same as when we looked at Dot and Bubble. We need to look at fans who were fans of color, who were speaking, voices of color who were speaking about it, before we could really talk about it here. And I think it's we look at both the Doctor and Ruby as both being adoptees, but the other side of it is that Ruby is the Doctor's best friend at this point here, and maybe he is being selfish in that moment where he's maybe trying to dissuade her from going in there, but then maybe there's nothing wrong with that, because he's found this person that he's connected to and he doesn't want to lose her in. And it's not about trying to deny Ruby herself. It's about holding on to her himself, because the prophecy and what he believes is going to happen, and by the end of this happens that Ruby leaves the TARDIS for a time. But even that doesn't really hit home, because we know she's back in season 2. We know she's back. So why is it anyway? Okay.
No, I'm glad you brought up the point as well, that a lot of what we're discussing could be a very different perspective for those who are adopted and the like. And I think it is important to hear those opinions and voices as well. This is obviously just their own voices. Star, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to what we've been discussing.
I don't feel there's really much to add. I think it's a nice ending. I like it, but it's soured by the fact that it was hyped up to be something else. I think if it wasn't hyped up, this would be a perfect ending. I would genuinely have liked this. This is sweet. I like that they've met. I like that they meet in the coffee shop and she clicks because she hears her name being yelled by the barista, which thank God they didn't go to Starbucks because it could have been it could have been anything. Emerald Tuesday.
Oh,
I've got one for Robbie. Robbie
Soon
Tack.
That's the first episode in Doctor Who What If they went to Starbucks instead.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think the only thing I'm not a fan of in that scene is just the line of "I was named after a road" being your introduction line.
Yeah.
I was named after Worf's kid from Star Trek. You don't start a conversation with that. I will say that is my dead name. I don't care about my dead name being on the internet, but that was my dead name. I'm currently named after a thing in space that looks really pretty.
I think the stuff with Ruby's birth mum is nice and good. I do think that's kind of iffy. You're right. But I do like the scene in the flat where Louise comes over and gives Cherry a kiss on the cheek there, and we have that beautiful scene of them all being there in the flat together. It being Ruby's family connected, it be her her family with Carla and Cherry, but also her birth mum being there. I think that's beautiful, and I think that's a powerful message there for fans in general, and people who are adopted, to be like, there can be a happy relationship here. Children are given up for adoption for many different reasons, and there's not one size fits all story there. Everyone has an individual story which is important to them and who they are. It's just really nice to see a positive version of being put forward here, and they even talk about how they're finding Ruby's dad as well, who didn't even know that she was a thing. It turns out his parents still live in the same place that Louise knew him to be living there and stuff, and that's all great stuff. And then we have the Doctor reappear in the TARDIS, and Ruby goes on in there. He's back in his go on Robin.
Can we just be grateful as well that Ruby's mum is completely cool with the random blue box that appears in the flat and disappears?
Because Ruby tells her she's told her everything, doesn't she? Ruby says, I've told her everything about it.
You'd hope so. Otherwise it'd just be like, I'm not freaked out by this, but I'm just going to pop to the shop kind of funny and just disappear again.
Yeah, it's funny because they all watch it. They all watch it like dematerialize, don't they? And she's sort of just like, oh yeah, you think even with being told that and like it being like backed up, because you should imagine your birth daughter of all this time comes back to you and says, oh, by the way, I travel in space with a magical, mystical man, and we go to lots of different time periods and planets and safe places. And then, you get to see her family, her adoptive family, and they're like, oh, no, yeah, no, that's legit. That was what happened. You'd still be like, holy fucking shit, when the TARDIS, like, disappears, wouldn't you?
That's why I'm just glad that they didn't run off again, just like it's a really tough again. Yeah. It's like, oh, damn.
And again, look, it's all framed this being Ruby's exit to the TARDIS. Her final chat with the Doctor there, and the Doctor's back in his Ruby Road outfit. In my opinion, one of his most iconic looks. And I'm gonna be honest now. I'm saying it now. I do like that they put Ncuti in a different costume pretty much every episode. I kind of want his definitive Doctor look though. Like I kind of want him to stick around with an outfit for a bit more, you know. Like I just, do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like a definitive part of the Doctor Who life. And I've been like, oh, this has been fun, but I kind of want him just to pick like not even one outfit, but like a style and stick with it. You know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
For me,
I
was gonna say, for me, it's the Dot and Bubble costume. That's what I'd have him stick with. You know,
I'd have him stick with the Church of Ruby Road one. I love that leather jacket. I love the shirt.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's fair. Like I love that too.
I mean, if he wanted to just be dapper and just be in his rogue attire all the time, then hey, you know, he's a
That
handsome
would
man.
be fucking incredible.
A Regency Doctor, I could never see that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it it just kind of falls flat, the idea that this is supposed to be Ruby's goodbye when we know she's back in season 2. We know that. You know, we know she's back either by herself for a bit or with Varida Sethu the entire time. But we know Ruby is a part of that. We know Millie is a part of that TARDIS team. So it just is a bit like, you know, like it's akin to, you know, at the end of season 3 or series 3, when Martha leaves the TARDIS, and it's kind of a big shock, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, no, you go, girl. You deserve better, and you're leaving on your own terms. That's great. And like, you know, when she does come back, then it's kind of cool. But we, you know, we didn't know she was going to come back immediately. We didn't know that she was going to leave the TARDIS even at that point either. It just doesn't feel like the emotional call that you're kind of going for here, like Russell. And like the Doctor and Rue are both crying about it. And I'm just like he's going to see her in what, 6 months now? When we, he did just under a year when we have the next season come out, aren't we? You know, he might even see her at the end of the Christmas special, for all we know. Could end of Joy to the World could be a repeat of Doctor Widow and the Wardrobe, for all we know.
God forbid.
It is a shame when you certainly know these things, because it definitely takes away from what could be more impactful with the next series. And, you know, as much as we have harped on the bad things, I think the episode definitely falls apart more on a second watch and the like. Building up to the finale, the reveal, I think there are some great moments. We get some wonderful character moments. So, you know, they have some wonderful sets and some really cool effects and camera angles. And I do think that this is not the worst Doctor Who finale, despite us being as passionate in our critiques. And, you know, that's it. It's critiques. Like Star at the beginning said that they actually really enjoyed this episode, and you know, it's great that we can.
I wouldn't say really enjoyed.
You like the experience, didn't you?
Yes, I like the experience.
Yeah, but it's like we can all have different feelings and the like, and we're as passionate as we are when we love something as we are when we're disappointed.
Yeah.
But that being said, even though this is not the worst Doctor Who episode, or let alone even the worst finale, I do think that the damage that it does to a series as a whole, whereas what Star was saying earlier, like if there was none of the supernatural stuff involving Ruby before, then just having it be just a normal mother, I think would just be really heartfelt and sweet.
Yes.
But the reliance on it, and that kind of slap in the face of the audience's own intelligence, and like talking down to them.
I said this earlier. RTD is a Rick and Morty fan.
Yeah.
He's that type of you have to be of a certain intelligence to get this kind of vibe right now.
God damn it. That's it, isn't it? That's it. Straight up there.
They gave the man Szechuan sauce.
No. I purged that from my memory. Oh my god.
Great. Shall we move on to our final thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. Before we do,
Well,
can I?
yeah, we've
there's
got
no-
we've got
right.
an ending to discuss.
Well,
Yeah.
just the ending is just what it is, isn't it? You know, we've kind of covered
Yeah.
that there. Look, can I just say something which I've wanted to bring up all sort of this series, and I think it's important to say here now: the air times,
Yes.
fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
Straight up dog shit for us as UK fans. You know, like we're literally Robin's in England, Stars in Scotland. I'm in Wales. You know, we're covering as much of the UK as we can in one Zoom call. Dropping them at midnight. Not only it's exactly what I predicted way back when they first said it was going to happen, and it was so annoying because so many people were telling people like us that were saying this is probably not a good idea to grow up and stop whining and all this stuff, when actually, look, I'm sorry, you either watch these episodes at midnight when they dropped, or you fucking became a recluse for however many hours, because the second, I said it last time, the second anything happened, it was all over the internet. Literally.
Yeah.
The second Legend of Ruby Sunday finished, I went on Twitter and there was Sutek, big mold right there. You know? And so many people getting spoiled for that. There's that. But then also just the thing of watching, staying at, look, we work hard, don't we? And quite often I'm working a Friday, and if I get home and I've worked a full day and I have kids and I have to stay up till midnight to watch an episode, already I'm tired, so it's like taking away some of the experience. Also, it's really fucking difficult to stay up late in your 30s for something like that. When you've been up all day early, and working all day, to have to stay up for that, and then also that encroach on everything the next day. And the trouble is that, yes, I probably could have done stuff like, waited to watch it. But being the fact that we run this podcast and do other stuff in the community, and so much of my life being chatting to friends, most of that being from through online.
Yeah, we're all quite social butterflies. We all talk quite a fair bit. We're kind of involved with the community, so there's not really much wiggle room for us to switch that off. We kind of need to be active because it's like. Well, myself, I'm working on several other projects. I need to be talking to people. I need to be keeping an eye out for certain things. You run the podcast, you run the community show. You're kind of watching out for the community. You're seeing what's happening, so you can get ideas for the community show and how we frame that. We're constantly involved. And then if we hadn't watched it at midnight, us being constantly involved would have kind of being a bit shit because we get slapped with spoilers immediately after, which isn't fair. Because, like, again, as you said, there's people with jobs. There's people that that it's not even jobs. It's just like they just struggle with staying awake. There's like many different issues, and none of them have really been factored. And I get that it's a lot more convenient for people across the world, but like. Surely there's an even more convenient time, which is a better balance. Midnight is not it for us.
When it's particularly as well, and I'm not trying to be like Doctor Who's British for the British. Yeah, I'm not trying to be that person. I'm not.
No.
But when it's a show from the BBC, I feel like what should be happening, and it's much easier to do, is for it to be put out 7:00. 6:00, whatever it is, on a Saturday evening on the BBC. Immediately after it airs, or concurrently as it airs, then drop it on all these streaming platforms. That's basically what they did with the 60th specials and Church on Ruby Road.
I think that method worked a lot better. Yeah, it was like a really odd time for people across the world, but it wasn't too inconvenient except for like one or two places.
It was a lot better to what we got with this. And not only was it a lot better for the reasons you've both just brought up, but a lot of people who it makes my mouth taste bad just by even bringing this up. But there's people on YouTube that make just disgusting thumbnails and just choose to just diss on Doctor Who and they go, oh, well, it's an awful series because the viewerships, like the viewer numbers are so low. And it's like, well, no, the viewer numbers are going to be all over the place because people have so many different options of when to watch it. Like, that's not an accurate way of showing it. And it gives a bad message to a series that we love, as well as a bad message to, say, Disney executives who may think about continuing on for season 3. And this is why it's so important to have a time that you can get the majority of people to watch and then carry on from that. Not midnight when, oh, you didn't stay up to midnight? You didn't stay up to like 1 in the morning to do this? Oh, too bad. Now you get to be spoiled about this the next day. That sucks. That really sucks.
That's the thing. It really took away the community aspect of watching Doctor Who. Like, when you're watching it at 7 o'clock on a Saturday tea time, you feel like you're watching it with everyone.
Yeah.
Don't you? And that's part of it. God forbid as well, Robin. Like, you had different spells where you had to wait almost half a week at times to watch an episode because of your own circumstances. Imagine if Doctor Who was event TV in the same way it was in the first ITV era. You would have walked into work and been bombarded with spoilers, by people
100%.
just talking about it, and it would have been fucking terrible for you. And I know that's a hypothetical what if, but that's just part of it. But I guess we're sort of getting away now from the crux of the episode, as were. Look, if I'm rating it, and I'm going to say it now, I can't. I do think it's Russell's weakest finale, and I gotta say, I would give it a 3 at best.
Now, question: are we putting both episodes together?
Yeah, I'm putting both episodes together. 3 for me at best. Maybe not 4, because there are some bits I really like, but then no, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going 3. I am going 3.
Go for a healthy balance. 3.5.
Yeah.
3.5. I like that. Thank you, Star. This is why we employ you.
Now pay me.
Robin, what's your score?
Quickly move on. I mean, this is so frustrating because this two-parter, there's a lot of aspects that I really, really like. There's some really wonderful acting moments, action moments, like emotional moments. But when that finale just hits you, and that's all you can think about, when a second watch actually really makes these episodes so much worse, and I think future rewatches, knowing that in the back of my head, me with an awful memory, I'm going to remember this still, and it's going to affect this. And for me, like, again, it's not the worst of the worst, but I feel like these 2 episodes, it's just like a 5 out of 10, like right in the middle. Just, there's some really good bits, but it's just also that seesaw of good and bad that maybe it will lower in future, maybe it won't, but it's just.
I really think you could have done this in 1 hour episode. I think there's a lot of fat you could have cut. Just saying it now. Here's what I think would be really funny, Star.
Oh no.
This is where you play your Star's Corner music, and then you just give your rating, and then just cut out of it.
Okay, hang on. Let me give myself a cue. Future me, music. Thank you. So I'm going to be team with Robin on this one. I'm also going to say 5 out of 10. I kind of want to give, if it's both of them together, I kind of want to give it a 6 because I really, really enjoyed Legend. I liked the build up, even if it was just copy paste of a standard RTD build up. But I still liked it. It still gave me chills, and then seeing it again in the cinema. But the way the Empire of Death goes, as much as I want to give it a 6 for a legend, I have to give it a 5. It's visually a great episode. I think it's one of the most gorgeous episodes in terms of visuals. But it's so full of plot holes, so full of. It's a reoccurring thing for the series. And while I love the series, it's full of missing bits that have been cut out for no real reason. And it just doesn't make sense. And this one, I think, suffered the most from it. Annoyingly, the worst episode of the series for me, 5 out of 10.
Yeah. I think that's all valid. And thank you for, a bit of positivity towards those episodes as well, because God knows it wouldn't have happened here. Please feel free to hit the grumpy bastard klaxon, as it were, again. And I tell you what, I think that's a lovely way for us to segue into the time-space telegraphs.
You mean the space-time telegraph, right?
Yeah, you know what I meant. Space-time telegraph, Kate. A gift to your father.
You can tell he's been rattled this episode. He can't even get it right.
No, I can't even get the name of my own segment correct. So Space Time Telegraph, for anyone that is listening to us for the first time, I don't know why you'd pick the finale of the fucking series, but there you go. Is where we just bring together the comments from people on Twitter replying to tweets, and also check the an awful lot of any mailbag as well. So first one comes from friend of the show, the Vacuum of Comments. Ben at Vacuum of Comments says, in response to the episode, says that Doctor Who needs to be banned from God villains. Even a Disney budget isn't helping. That said, Lash and Sutek does feel like something from the ending of a myth. Fair enough. Next one comes from Josh Coy 23. A little clunky, but otherwise enjoyable. Conclusion to a brilliant series. Performances were excellent. Sutek was intimidating. It was full of heart and hope. Can't wait until Christmas. Can't wait to Christmas himself as well, but it's really the duality of man right there, isn't it? To have a comment like that. Okay, next one from Courtney McCree at Weirdly Cork. Shooty's acting was everything in this episode, and I loved it until the last 10 minutes where the reveal of the season just fell flat for us. A very decent end to Shooty's first season, and I can't wait for more to come. Next one comes from the world's biggest Planet of Giants fan at Nat Lou Summer. This one's going to hurt. I've read it before. It's going to hurt me now. Okay. I thought it was bad and I didn't like it, but Jesus Christ, I've seen grown adults be such babies about an episode of TV ever. At least with Chib, the people who were insane were massive bigots and clearly lost their mind already. This time it's people I thought were normal. Hi. I feel seen.
Whoops.
Okay. Awkward. Over to the an awful lot of running mailbag. First one comes from a friend of the show, Jude. Jude Laveris says here, let's start with the positives. Shooty and Millie, as always, are on top form. This stuff of Ruby and her family was so brilliantly written and acted. And the departure scene was gorgeous. I cried. Gabriel Wolf, we didn't even bring up Gabriel Wolf. Yes, of course, Return of the Sutek was absolutely stellar as Sutek. So many amazing lines to chew on. It was so good to see him back. As for negatives, a lot didn't make sense. Why is Ruby cloaked in such a way? Why did she change time and point at the sign, which we couldn't see until the plot demanded it? It's a weird way to name your child. Just point at a sign that you hope will be picked up on CCTV. Why did Ruby have these powers if she was human? So were her parents. Why wasn't Sutek able to see her ordinary mum? How was Sutek, a being able to read minds and freeze people in place, stopped by a leash? What's the point of killing off all of UNIT if you know they'll be by the end they'll be safe? Why did they make a thing of the perception filter being 73 yards? Yeah, that's the thing as well. I remember seeing that the episode because they talk about being, which is a fun coincidence, so it kind of makes the titular episode even more confusing. So many unanswered questions for me to enjoy it fully. Sorry for the ramble. Feel free to ignore. Nope. All valid points, Jude. Absolutely. Next one comes from Amy. Amy says here, hello, I have a lot of jumbling thoughts on Empire of Death because I tell myself that supposedly Ruby's story isn't done and there will be more of with her family. If next season is satisfactory, it could evaluate my thoughts on the finale, or elevate, my thoughts on the finale. As for now, If I take the finale just on its own, then it leaves some things to be desired. Firstly, I want to say that I thought Shooty did an amazing job. Great act for him. Now some issues I have with the finale. I didn't like the idea of Sutex supposedly clinging to the TARDIS' pyramids of Mars. It doesn't go well with many, many of the things that have happened in previous seasons. The mystery around Ruby's origins. I love the idea that there wasn't anything special or magical. I love the idea that Ruby's mum was ordinary. However, too many weird magical things happened around Ruby. This has been compared with the Impossible Girl arc, but at least with that arc, there was something in 7B that showed Clara to be anything other than ordinary. Then the other thing with Ruby's mum pointing, it turns out she was pointing at the signpost to give Ruby a name. Who was that intended for? I mean, there was no one around, right? I like the Vortex scene with Sutek being dragged around. However, I found the Doctor's monologue angst over having to kill Sutek to be kind of silly. It was an eye-rolling moment. We've seen the Doctor kill. I did like the scene with the Spoon Lady. I'm very curious about Mrs. Flood. Her message to Cherry Sunday was pretty ominous, I thought. All in all, right now, I'll give the finale a 6 out of 10. That's true. We didn't even mention Mrs. Flood, did we? With that,
I
being
tried
the...
to push on you on it. I said we had still to talk
Yeah,
about the ending and you waved
look,
away.
I'll say it now. She shows up in Romana 1's outfit and is carrying a suitcase, which apparently has a load of stickers on it from places the Doctor's been, which we can't see in the episode. So it's just another mystery fucking box for next year, and I'm kind of over it. Next one comes from friend of the show, James York, the queer doctor himself. I think it could have landed better than it did, and it was rushed, but overall, there were some amazing moments. The highlight being Ruby's exit. Cool. Next one comes from Daniel McLaughlin, who, funny enough, is someone who I actually went to college with back in the day, did drama with, who we reconnected on Twitter and found the podcast and sent it him now. So, cheers to you, Dan. He says, "Hi, chaps. I thought I'd share thoughts on the finale. I haven't done anything like this before, so forgive the ramblings of a madman. I hope this helps. Feel free to use as little or as much as you'd like. Cheers, Dan." Now, Dan, what I'll say straight away there is, this podcast is absolutely the ramblings of madmen and women.
And others.
Yes. All, what is it that they say? All bros, girls, and non-binary. I don't know. There was a rhyme there or something. I can't remember. But all peoples are welcome. I'm a sucker for a good two-parter, a bloody love a cliffhanger, especially when the final moments of an episode go a bit Inception and we see action from 2 or 3 different storylines quickly intercut as the tension and music heightens. Lovely stuff. However, the resolution has a lot to live up to when a part 1, in my opinion, lays the groundwork so well. This is a hard thing to do, and sadly, I think Empire of Death has slightly missed the mark. One reason for this, due to the stakes at play. End of the world threats are always a touch too big. The larger the stakes, the harder it is to have an authentic emotional connection. For instance, when Kate was dusted, I was shocked. I really like Kate, but in killing her, the stakes were genuinely raised and I was fully invested in the threat. However, this quickly came undone when everyone else was dusted right after. Methinks RTD likes his MCU as much as the rest of us. When Rose was killed, I knew that this would be reset. There is no world in which you bring Donna back, give her a happy ending, and then kill her daughter off 8 months later. Likewise, I felt the same when we saw Carla go. Nah, there was no way this was sticking. Even though this was very much real to the Doctor, I feel that we, the viewer, weren't with him as we anticipated the result and the positive resolution. I'd love to be with the Doctor in that final moment and wondering how he was going to save this. I'd love to be with the Doctor, yeah. Sutek was an intimidating big bad, but I would have loved to see him seen him off the leash. I see what we've done there, Dan, as it were, and not confined to the TARDIS. And I was a little underwhelmed by how the Susan Triad storyline played out. And although I feel the significance of Ruby's mum was a bit too built up as a mystery box, the point was a touch dramatic, but it had spawned the beautiful "I'm trying to call you Rhodes" memes. I simply loved that she was ordinary, a total normal person. Not to Ruby, and for that reunion in the coffee shop, talk about absolutely beautiful moment. It brought me to tears. Shooty has been terrific, and I can't wait to see more of his Doctor. But Millie, she's been given some serious emotional beats to work with this season. She continues to deliver as a memorable force in this finale. Hooray for great companions! I'm so excited to see where this goes next. Mrs. Flood is a great addition to the series and her final fourth wall break, and the night was glorious in camp as well. First stop, a Stephen Moffat Christmas. Thank you, Dan. That's lovely there. And last, and by no means least, we have our traditional Thomas Mad Beach essay.
Okay, right. I'll be back in about 20 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here we go. Thank you, Thomas, as always. And there's a big bold text across the top of it: Empire of Death review. And this was sent Sunday, the Sunday after this aired as well. Okay, so you know it's
Before
going to
you
be
start, I will confirm there is no surprise guest this time.
good.
Okay.
Right. Hello, Jack, Robin, and of course, my mum's Starbinger. I'm quite excited, but also nervous to be discussing this finale with you. There is so much to discuss. Without further ado, firstly, the positives. Again, they stuck the landing on technical front. The cinematography has been fantastic with the series, and Empire of Death was no exception. From the warmth, the close-ups, and the memory TARDIS, to the wide, vast emptiness on the desolate planet. Each shot felt dynamic, and the director, cinematographer had an excellent grasp of framing. I also commend the more still scenes where the characters were allowed to breathe in the space with few cuts. A scene coming to mind being Ruby's meeting with her birth mother Louise in the cafe, as the moment is allowed to be emotionally underpinned by Ruby and Faye McCreevy performances. The camera remains still, almost true to life, rather than perhaps using a emotional sweeping camera. It's an approach I've very much appreciated. Visually, the episode was a treat. The sweeping sand and dust ripping through London was awesome to see. It felt like an MCU effect, but scaled down to Doctor Who's level. I was half afraid to see some fourth wall breaking quip, like, now this is a TARDIS level threat. This is a unit level threat from Spider-Man Far From Home. Thankfully not, but this episode certainly wears its MCU inspirations on its sleeves. The soundtrack and score for this episode was again super solid. Gold hit the emotional beats needed, and I think I've now compiled a track list I want to hear at the BBC Proms in August. Standout scores being 15, Talking to the Kind Woman on the Desolated Planet, the opening sequence with Mel on the Vespa moped, and of course the ending track with 15 and Ruby's Goodbye. All round, this series has had some great music, but that's what you get when you go for the tried and true safe option of bringing back Murray Gold. Now, let's blow the dust away off this story, kid. Right off the bat, I was incredibly concerned following the Legend of Ruby Sunday. Previous episode kept pulling out threads and didn't answer anything and left quite a big chasm for the metaphorical train to steam across. I had no idea what to expect, but this wasn't it, Chief. First, the audacity for there to have been a previously segment that literally only escaped the last 30 seconds only to cut to the titles. I understand he used it previously to establish the Ruby time window elements, but no, it was just the last few seconds of Susan being possessed by Sutek. Very odd. I'll chalk this up to a BBC decision mind course. Literally 5 minutes later, after the chase sequence and unit getting Thanos snapped, we get a 1v1 with the Doctor and Sutek, with Sutek just explaining the literal last moments of the previous episode again. What? Oh, we got a kind of script here as well now, because it says the following is an accurate representation of my reaction to this scene. Oh yes, Doctor, I did an anagram. Oh yes, Doctor, I did the anagram and made copies of Susan as a trap. Yes, we know. We literally had that build up and revealed last week. Oh, I'd clung to the TARDIS this whole time. Yeah, we kind of guessed that with the scanning scene literally last week. I trapped you with using the name of your granddaughter. Yes, we know! It was just frustrating to spend so much more time talking and reiterating what we spent about 30 minutes doing last week. Do we really need recapping again? Was Russell that proud of himself for crowbarring Susan and bringing back Sutek? It felt like he was clapping himself on the back, really. The entire episode, this entire opening segment of this episode should have served as a cliffhanger to episode 7. There, I said it. Having the TARDIS team dusted and the Earth and universe swirling into dust while the Doctor screams into the abyss would have been such a chilling cliffhanger to end things on and to set the stakes. But it's tacked on to the opening, and this as an extra thing to build on along with finding Ruby's birth mother. I had the sense that Russell was writing this script with 2 separate computers and had to try and copy and paste segments into one another. While I appreciate the scale and vast threat of Sutek's dust of death, seeing this how it devastates London and seeing a genuine body count mass threat for the first time in a long time, it felt so empty and flat. Seeing Unit get dusted made me feel nothing. There wasn't a, oh my god kind of reaction. It was just, oh, they'll come back, with just no tension really. Now, that could be because I'm incredibly jaded at this point. I'm fascinated in how younger audiences take this story and threat. The momentum of the story also just hits a snail's pace. We have the Doctor, Mel, and Ruby essentially on the run, but staying still. We have them just stuck on the memory TARDIS, just talking and quoting John Bishop Instagram post, watching iPad through the majority of the story. There's so much. Expedition which felt flatly directed, and we were watching a television story, or were we watching a television story or a big finish audio drama? There was just no action in this story, no chases, no exploration, no gathering items or materials to find a way to stop Sutek. Everything they needed was already in the TARDIS, that being the bungee rope and intelligent gloves. While, yes, they needed some material outside of the TARDIS to interface with the TV screen, it just felt odd to cut to whatever the time later and the Doctor to have become a nomad and discovered a spoon. Was there a time jump between his dismay at the universe dying and his quest for the spoon? It's not made clear. Although the scene was lovely with Shooty and Sean Clifford acting well together, what did it add? Oh, the universe turned to dust. Russell, we know, we saw it. We saw the solar system turn to dust. London turned to dust. Kate, Rose, Morris, everything else turned to dust. Did we really need another scene just underlining that everything is dying? This episode had this compulsory desire to keep telling us that the threat was what the threat was, instead of like moving to solve the threat. It felt like a whim and another, oh my gosh, I forgot to write something about Ruby's mother to kind of get back on track. But having to use what seemed like deleted footage from 73 yards feels like an absolute cheat. Perhaps Russell had mastered erasing timelines, because I swear the interview segment from Roger William was totally different. Finally, oh, this is just tragic. This was heartbreaking. My biggest fear was that Sutek was going to be a waveling. Oh, this was so much worse. Oh my god, the ball was dropping so hard it broke through my floor and into the core of the earth. I'm devastated. Don't get me wrong, Gabriel's performance was outstanding. I enjoyed the quiet menace of his vocal work, still keeping the calm, sinister demeanor with some excellent lines for the script. But what the hell was this defeat? The Doctor fires the TARDIS into his crotch. Then Ruby girl bosses it, lashing Sutek up and dragging him through the vortex was so... I have no words for it. They pulled a Superman 73 and literally just went around the world in the vortex and turned back time. And not just for the Earth, but for the whole universe. For absolutely every adventure, if Sutek is to be believed, basically, because we discover Sutek has come to the TARDIS since Pyramids of Mars, at least billions of years ago, considering the Doctor's timeline. This felt even more confused, as we don't even see the effect this has. We have another cut, and suddenly Unit are back and alive. The resolution again felt rushed and incredibly Deus Ex Machina. I feel so frustrated with this episode. With Legend of Ruby Sunday, almost everything story-wise feels like it's hit a brick wall, and it's just disheartening. Speaking of disheartening, Ruby's mother. Well, in principle, I'm a fan of normal companions that aren't the most important in the universe you see. And while I can appreciate the idea of building Ruby up to be something bigger, or her mother's identity only be revealed to be just a normal woman, just an innocent woman, I'm sorry, but this just doesn't compute. What's with the snow? The hidden song the Maestro lost their shit over. You know, all these things that clearly led to something big. I'm sorry, but you can't give us big clues like this and hints, then slap us in the face and go. Ha! Silly mortal, faithful viewer. Those things are only important because you made them important. Russell, you are the writer. You wrote these elements and these clues. You made them important. It's like, do you want us to kind of sit unabidingly watching the screen and give no thoughts, just consume? Or do you want us to think how clever you are, the clues and stuff? The effort into putting Susan Twist in every episode, the effort into having this Ruby arc from the very beginning. I guess not. I'm really not sure how we're going to approach series 2/15 or any future episodes of RTD2. It's like being smacked with a carrot and a stick at the same time. And are we meant to pay attention and try and connect the dots, or just sit quietly and think no thoughts? I'm sorry if this has felt all rambly and such, but this episode is so frustrating to actually think about. Final thoughts. I find myself disappointed. Frankly, there's stuff to like here, don't get me wrong. Excellent performances from Shooty, Millie, Bonnie, Gabriel. They honestly save this entire finale for me. They take this material to heart and they act the hell out of it. They're the saving grace of the story for me. Again, on the technical aspects, these episodes were great to watch. It's like the writing. I'm baffled as to how this finale came to this. Has Russell just got immunity to script editors and consultants? Has he got free reign to write this rather incoherent and smug finale to what is otherwise a really great series of Doctor Who? It makes me wonder if Russell wanted to write a traditional series finale. This felt kind of back to basics, a familiar ground to previous finales with quick, unsatisfying resolutions. My review for this it's got to be a 6 out of 10, just incredibly above average. I'm really hoping for better finales next year. And now, the God of Reviews has her final say. Here's my mum's thoughts. Albeit in written form, no, she hasn't been cast in the Time Vortex. Not yet. Not yet. It was pants. Barely anything has been answered, and what was rubbish. I liked Susan Twist and how that was resolved, but I can't get over Ruby's mum. How could she have not been found until now? She has a passport. She works for the NHS. She has no intention in finding Ruby again. Davina must have been useless. Also, pointing to the lamppost was nonsensical. It was pure coincidence that she was going to be named Ruby. It was the social workers who took her in and named it after the church on the road itself. All the effort the mother took to hide from her daughter, and then she suddenly appears 19 years later in a cafe. We're expected to think she's going to welcome Ruby with open arms. I'm not buying it. We've got no answers for the snow, the hidden song thing, Ruby's run of steam itself. Even I spotted the recycling older stuff from when he was last in charge. Russell's run of steam. Russell's run of steam. It seems. Even I spotted the recycling of older stuff from when he was last in charge. Lenny Rush was wasted, in my opinion. After impressing Russell as a space baby, then bringing him back, we barely saw him before he became dust. Why didn't Scape evacuate the two literal children, being Rose and Morris, when the God of Death is in the room? Russell needs to write a scene review a safeguarding policy. Mrs. Flood knew what was coming, but didn't, or somehow couldn't save herself. Still convinced she was offered the role that Susan Twist was given. We still don't know what the snow was about with Ruby and all the children that have been abandoned, all the foundlings of the world. We still don't know why Ruby and why the Doctor set on following her. Why did the goblins interfere with her life? And I thought the Doctor couldn't bring people back from the dead. As a casual viewer, this episode left me frustrated and miffed with Russell writing. Shooty was brilliant as the Doctor, even right at the end when he was protecting Ruby's feelings. He carries great emotional weight as the Doctor, similar to Peter Capaldi and Chris Eccleston. While Anita was great to watch, I'm nervously excited to see where her character leads, perhaps in this year's Christmas special. I give this episode a 3 out of 10. Yes, Lisa Marie. While the dramatic bits were dramatic and Shooty was brilliant, I loved the scene with Sean Clifford and the spoon. And then Retardus was very cool and Mel was amazing. Everything else was just very disappointing. It felt flat. And it all feels like we need at least another 6 episodes. Massive thanks to the 3 of you for letting us chat. This podcast has been amazing to listen to and participate in all series long. While finale ends things like a damp towel, this podcast has gone from strength to strength. Can't wait to hear what you have in store in the future. Thomas, Mad Beach, and Lisa Marie. God of all gods, Thomas's mum.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words and for some phenomenal reviews. Making our jobs easier. I'll tell you what, but no, I kid. Like, honestly, they're great. And thank you. Thank you all for all of your amazing messages. Like, everyone's contributions, like from messages to spreading the word of this podcast that we're so passionate about. It means so much to us. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you enjoy it.
Listening to the messages from audience is probably my favorite part of the editing. So it's really nice to hear, even if it's like, even if I don't agree with it, it's just nice to hear because it feels a lot more civil here.
And that's what we want. We respect opinions here. Like, yes, we have our own, but we also, we pride ourselves on respecting the opinions of others, so long as they're not dickhead opinions, basically. But thank you everyone for engaging with the podcast. If you want to help us out more, please rate or subscribe or leave a review for the podcast. It all really helps us in the end and appeases that algorithm. And subscribe to the YouTube as well. Star's put a lot of work into it.
Yes. And on that note, please God subscribe to the YouTube, because if you're hearing this on time, if it's before the 31st of August and we hit 200 subscribers, Jack will go as the Candyman. And we need to see Jack Candyman. Please, God, share it with everyone. Share it with your dad, your mum, your uncle, your auntie, your weird granddad, your granny, your dog, your cat, your weird pet hamster that somehow got out of the cage and is in the back of the sofa. Everyone.
Let's move on to the Cannon Buster.
Cannon Buster.
Okay, so we've been talking about Empire of Death today as the episode, haven't we?
Have we?
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. There's already a Doctor Who story called Empire of Death that precedes this one by about 18 years. No, sorry, by 20 years. 20 years. Because Empire of Death was the 63rd novel in the BBC Past Doctor Adventures and featured the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa. And guess what? I'm looking at the cover now. It's, I believe, the Doctor in like a old-timey, underwater suit. Does look like there's sand around. Yeah.
I mean, my question already is this a direct adaptation or is it just by name alone?
It's just the name. I doubt Russell even knew that it was a thing. But here's the thing, right? Okay. This story features the Fifth Doctor meeting Queen Victoria, right?
Okay, very different.
Yeah. So, we have that happen before anyway, don't we, as well? We also have Nyssa referring to Adric's death. So that's always fun, isn't it? Here's the thing now, though. It also features the Doctor telling Nyssa that the TARDIS contains a place of remembrance where he keeps mementos of his previous companions. So isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Feels like a pretty big coinky dink.
Yeah, it's almost like he's remembering them in some shape or form.
Interesting, isn't it? And this also does make I believe, the third time that the Doctor has met Queen Victoria. And obviously, we always look to Tiff and Claw, but yeah, he and it even is the Fifth Doctor that meets her again later on in a story called Imperial Moon. So fucking hell.
Okay.
It's like, come on, guys, can we have some original things happening in Doctor Who? Do we have to be taking the same plot beats out every time? Do we have to recycle episodes? Dear B. But yeah, all in all, it's been a fun series for us. Tune in next time when we are going to be having a retrospective of the series itself. I will be presenting a revised watching order, which I think will be very interesting and maybe it'll affect my feelings on the season itself. But all I will say now is thank you, Robin, and thank you, Star. This has been an awful lot of running. I have been Jack.
I have been Robin.
I'm always bloody here.
It's an awful lot of running. Keep running.
running.
What those two said.
Hey.